Hannah guesses we spent about $1,000 on clothes, and then we've been given a lot of clothes as well.
Is that all Ralph Lauren baby wear? James Blair, are you telling me that Cooper wears the warehouse specials?
I tell you what.
Don't light a match near him. Just straight up.
H&M.
Good
Nice,
shout. I like that.
Welcome to another midweek episode of Checks and Balances. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair, and today we've got Ravi Chan from the production team on the episode to go head to head with James. Ravi's got a dog. James has a kid. Which one's cheaper, pets or kids?
The production team. I love that.
We've got a team.
Yeah. Per person we have compared to views, we've got a very high ratio.
Hey, it's all about investment, okay?
Yeah. One day we'll see a return.
Yeah.
So Ravi, welcome to the podcast. It's only taken you 200 and something episodes to get here.
Thank you very much. I have to say, finally I get a chance to defend myself after all the times you've called me out and I can't say anything.
Who approved this, by the way? Did you? Was this your idea? Was my idea? Must have been your idea.
I am the captain.
Yeah. All right. So where do we want to start, Ravi?
Should we start with Cooper's costs?
Sure. So the idea with this episode is obviously kids are quite big, a very large cost. Dogs are a large cost, and we thought we'd break it down. There are some highly controversial opinions we've been arguing on pre the episode filming. I feel Ravi and Georgia are completely detached from reality.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump into it. But I hear from time to time now, plants are the new dog and dogs are the new kid, just because of where we're at and the cost of everything.
What does that make kids? Just relegated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. So there's studies showing that on average, millennials and Gen Zs are choosing to have dogs over or pets over kids because of the cost, because of the time involved and decisions about what they want to do with their life. So I thought it'd be a really interesting episode to go, what's actually more expensive, dogs or kids?
How do your parents feel about that, Ravi? Choosing a dog over a kid?
They're just disappointed all the way through.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot to do with
no
it.
real sting on that one.
Yeah. That's I mean, yeah. The brother who's an engineer and has got provide a couple of grandchildren. He's well ahead.
Yeah.
So
he's definitely the favorite.
I went with Hannah last night and I was like, tally up all the costs. And she was trying to ask me about the criteria. So what I've done is so Cooper's 14 months, for those who aren't aware. The word of the day yesterday, lads. Actually, I'll tell you a quick Cooper story before we get into it. So he's at daycare yesterday and he's having lunch. And you would have thought we don't feed him because he's smashed a large bowl of mince, but he's learnt the word more. So he's gone more. And then he's got another bowl of mince. And then he smashes that and he's like, more. And they're like, dog, we're out of mince. And he goes, more. They go find some chicken out the back, give it to him. Then he starts scooping food from the other kids' bowls.
He's going for it.
Then we get to afternoon tea and he's having a muffin and he smashes his muffin and then, quite embarrassingly, jumps onto the ground and the other kids have dropped some of their muffin and he's picking it off the ground. So kids and dogs maybe not that careful.
Is this the Michelin star chef?
This is the Michelin star chef.
Speaking of bubbles and being insulated.
Yeah. Josh Emmett mince that he's eating?
Yeah, that's right. He won't take anything else.
Yeah.
One of his favorite things, if it's not quite off, and I tell you what, Hannah spends all this time in the kitchen and when he just spits it back out, and she's like, I literally spent an hour and a half on that.
Wow.
All right, so run through the cost for Cooper.
So
swimming's $100 a month. Insurance is health insurance.
Can I just say it is hilarious that he starts with swimming first and insurance
in no particular order.
The food is
His tennis coach, $350.
Yeah. I might have to explain to you lads, what kids are eating for the first year or so, but we can talk about that afterwards. Swimming's $100 a month, huge ROI on
apparently.
That. Health insurance is $30 a month. Formula is $30 per fortnight for about 4 months, and then it went to $30 a month after that. Hannah guesses we spent about $1,000 on clothes, and then we've been given a lot of clothes as well.
Is that all Ralph Lauren baby wear?
No, I don't believe it. It's such a waste of money. It's the same price pretty much. Obviously he only can wear it for 3 months.
Yeah.
James Blair, are you telling me that Cooper wears the warehouse specials?
I tell you what.
Don't light a match near him. Straight up.
H&M.
Nice,
good
nice,
shout.
nice.
I like
Yeah,
that. I like
yeah.
that.
Toys, 300. Bottles, dummies, drink bottles, all that kind of stuff, 500.
Just quickly, what have you guys listed here? What is teething powder?
So obviously when teeth are coming through, babies get quite upset. So it like numbs their gums. I can share a little bit with you afterwards if you like.
No, I've got to go.
Sleep consultant is $750.
Stop there.
Stop.
Needs so
Pause.
much context.
Yeah, what is a sleep consultant? What do they do? Why do you have one?
So do you recall me in about October last year?
Yes.
No, because you're too absorbed with yourself, Mike.
No, I was on teething powder.
Yeah, couldn't feel a thing. So he started daycare, got all the bugs, got gastro, got foot and mouth.
Yeah.
Hannah slept with him because we were all trying to get some sleep,
Mm.
and then you became dependent. So we ended up getting a sleep consultant, and our lives are way better. So
Okay.
huge ROI on that.
Okay, cool.
I love how he didn't explain what the sleep
Yeah, no,
did
no,
at
no,
all.
no. He just, all he did was say,
I paid
this
the money. And he
justified
slept
it.
there.
Yeah. Which
so,
is fine.
so
which
what
is
a
fine, which is
daycare,
fine.
what a sleep consultant does is they go, lock the door, you're not a bad parent. That's pretty
Yeah,
pretty
okay,
much
cool.
it.
Yeah, cool.
Daycare is $490 a week, so about $2,000 a month. Car seats $1,000, nappies are $100 a month, wipes are $30 a month. The pram costs $2,000. The cot
Stop there. The pram.
Yeah.
I know it's a huge debate among parents. What's the brand? What
Edwards
are
and
you rocking?
It's got to be
Edwards and
Co.
Co.
Yeah, shout out to
Yeah,
Edwards and
shout
Co.
out Edwards and Co.
But now we won't sit in the pram because he doesn't want to be like restricted at all. So like
Same.
it's just
I am very against sitting in my pram.
yeah. I don't even know what you're doing in this episode. You don't have a dog or a kid. The cot
I'm
was
so far away from either of them too.
yeah. The cot was $700. The bassinet was $550. The baby bath was $80. The play mat was $120. The change table was $300. Nursery decor was $300. The sheets, the sheets were $150. The towels were $100. The bath toys were $100. Good ROI on the bath toys. Your boys just shooting 3-pointers with the basketball hoop all day. Books $200. Baby monitor $150. Bouncer $300. Sheepskin was $100. Although that was something that you got.
I got him the sheepskin.
For a second, I thought he had his own private
Security?
bodyguard for a
Yeah.
second.
The security
Bouncer.
Yeah.
Scans, like all the scans before he was born, was $500, and then we spent $6,500 on a obstetrician, and thank God we did because the birth was quite complicated.
Wow.
Okay.
So we're totaling about $23,000, all in over
14 months.
14 months, and that's still excluding some things.
You can see why the younger generation are starting to stray away from the kids thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you put it into some context, right? So obviously, what I've done, not everybody's going to do, and people are going to do their own thing, and that's completely cool. The daycare is, there is cheaper daycares.
Yeah.
Without Michelin star chefs, you don't have to do the obstetrician. It's very feasible that number might be like 12,000 or something like that. But you're still probably dropping. And a lot of those are obviously, one-off costs as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a substantial amount of money, and I guess one of the key things for when people are thinking about having kids is thinking about your financial position and what should you do leading up to it. We've covered this off in a number of episodes. Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, then you frame that in Auckland with house prices and mortgages and those sort of things.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, much love to those in Invercargill. I do think about, like, say, in Invercargill where house prices are far cheaper, like how much more realistic it is to have kids. Like they had 3 kids under 28 because in Southland there's nothing else to do but have kids.
Yep.
And like they've got one income, he's a mechanic, doing a really good job. But like there's no way you could do that in Auckland, right? And cover all of the costs associated. So I think the city that you live in, the size of your mortgage, your lifestyle, all of those factors come into
and I think work being more flexible where people are at the moment, it is, more feasible for people to move cities to get a better lifestyle to have kids, right? Like I have 2 friends that moved down to Tauranga.
Yeah.
She stopped working, had a kid, is now having another kid. Will return to work at some point, but could they have done that in New Zealand, in Auckland? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Just to be clear, because I know you're a Jaffa, Tauranga is still part of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Hopefully they move to Tauranga before everybody else in Auckland moved to Tauranga.
Yeah. Well, actually, they did. They were pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, James, before we continue, I have got a special announcement.
Have you started sticking to your budget?
Absolutely not.
You finally made it as an after-hours DJ.
I wish. Mate, the thing is, we have got a brand new podcast partner, Partners Life.
You mean the award-winning insurance provider with over 300,000 Kiwis insured?
Yep, they're also a New Zealand-operated company, and they are passionate about increasing financial literacy amongst Kiwis.
Sounds like a great match. Where can I learn more about them?
Check out their website in our show notes below.
Really thought DJ Magic Mike was going to be a global sensation for a second.
All right, guys. So we've run down the list for humans. Now let's run down the list for dogs.
Yes.
Ravi,
So
bring it on home. Here we go.
A bit of context. So my dog is named Shadow. He's a Doberman, a purebred Doberman, and he's about 4 years old now, and he weighs about 42 kgs.
Yeah, he's actually the reason we don't have dogs in the office anymore.
Why
is that, Mike?
Well, because I was sitting in a meeting with a client
in the boardroom.
And Shadow opened the door, walked in, and like aggressively attacked me. He just wanted some love, and but it was
Rest in peace, Jeff.
Yeah. You're my best client. No. So he's just a bit big for the office.
He's a bit big for the office. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Fun fact. So he's 42 kgs. My fiance is 45 kgs. So they're literally the same weight, which I think is a bit wild. It gives a bit more context on how big my dog is. I got him a day before lockdown. So it was like a really, I saw a post on Facebook. Funny story. When you have a dog from a breeder and you cannot look after the dog anymore, you are required to go back, legally required to go back to the breeder and say, I cannot look after this dog. And the breeder is obligated to find another home for the dog.
Yeah.
So I saw a post on Facebook from the purebred breeder that I was talking to. She said, I've got the 6-month Doberman that needs rehoming from Hamilton. I think he had been obviously Dobermans are very good guard dogs. I think he'd be kind of bred to be like an outside guard dog, but unfortunately that meant he lived a lot of his 6 months outside. Wasn't very socialized. Really saw the fences as main thing to guard.
Yeah.
So
had a hard start.
Had a hard start. Yeah. So I saw the post on Facebook, made a really impulse decision, probably one of the biggest impulse decisions of my life. A day before lockdown started, drove down to Hamilton, picked him up, brought him back to Auckland. Usually a Doberman puppy costs about $3,000.
Okay.
And that's $3,000 for the first pick.
Yeah.
So you get to choose the first pick of the litter, and then as you go down your list of picks, they get significantly cheaper. We had to get him de-sexed and neutered, so that costs about $500.
Is that a surcharge because of how big Shadow is, or?
Yeah, it was a bit more expensive. Yeah. Actually, everything has a size surcharge on this.
Sorry.
Microchipping was $120. Training was a lot. It was about $2,000, including the trainer plus equipment, and that's because he wasn't that great on the leash when we first got him.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brooklyn Beds. Their advertising really works. They got me on Instagram, so their beds are like $200 a pop. Shadow has 2 of them.
Because he's so big, he's just a crossbar.
Yeah.
They're made for a pug.
Yeah.
So is it a Super King or what?
Yeah, basically, it's a triple XL.
Yeah.
The toys were about $300. So one-off cost for the year, we were looking at about $6,000 if he wasn't a rescue. If we were to buy him from a purebred breeder. Running costs. So he's a big boy. So he costs about $170 a month to feed. That equates to about $2,000 a year. He has an annual vet consult and any jabs that he needs to get done. That's about $200 a year. Shout out to the Strand in Parnell. They do a great job. Flea and worm is $100 every quarter. That's $400 a year. We account for him getting sick about 2 times a year, which is significantly less than a child. So that's about $250 a pop, so $500 a year. Dobermans have a really unfortunate predisposition for heart disease. So about 1 in every 2 Dobies get some sort of heart condition, some terminal, some not. So we have to send them to a cardiologist every 2 years. That's about $1,000 every 2 years for a screening. And the unfortunate thing is if they do get something, it's usually terminal. They usually have like 12 or 19 months to live.
Yeah.
So that's just something you have to screen for every 2 years. His insurance is pretty pricey. It's $2,000 a year. Grooming we do at home. And then we used to send him to the Barclay Manor in Grayling. Yep. That's about $60 a day. And then that equates to about $12,000 a year. So if you were to be taking him 4 days a week to the daycare, plus all his other costs, he equals about $17,000 a year.
Okay, let's get into the daycare piece because you are completely detached from reality. So Ravi's got a dog. Georgia, you have a dog as well, I'm guessing, considering your strong views. So before we started filming, you both said, of course you send your dog to daycare. Like, why wouldn't you send your dog to daycare? Because you put it in the if you included daycare as a cost.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's a big if. And you're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I've done a poll in the office just to get a check. And we're sitting actually probably between 20 and 30% of people, we would guess. And put your thoughts
I think
in the comments.
I think it would be lower than that. I think if you total the whole of New Zealand, what percentage of dog owners send their dogs to doggy daycare at all? I would say it's 10% or less.
I agree.
Or less, or
But
probably well less.
I disagree at the same time. So I reckon millennials and younger generations would see daycare as a more normal cost for their
Because you're
pets.
soft.
Well, yeah, and we don't have time to do anything, and
Yeah.
we're lazy apparently.
I would okay. Let's rewind that a little bit. I would say millennials and Gen Z who live in Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington, maybe Tauranga and Whangarei. So you're
grouping Whangarei in there.
Yeah, I would say.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I do.
It's north of the Sky Tower.
Yeah, it's north of the Sky Tower. No, yeah, I to your point, I would say, yeah, potentially it is just for.
How many of your kind of like mortgage applications do you see with like more with like dog costs in them and significant?
Just get rid of the dog if you want the
Yeah,
mortgage.
look,
Yeah.
it's not a huge amount,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
And it is something we call out when we are talking to customers because it's a fixed expense that people just won't give up,
Yeah.
right? Like, either your lifestyle is built around to the point where you can't give it up,
Yeah.
or you're not willing to for emotional reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's not a huge amount, to be honest.
And the banks don't really care about that kind of stuff.
They do care about it.
Yeah.
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 They are.
So-
So there's two things they're tied on, right? Basically, is things like this that emotionally you're not going to give up, and tithing to churches. You cannot
Really?
condition for that to be removed. They have to see it removed because much like doggy daycare, it's an emotional thing. You're not going to give it up. So until they see it given up, they will count it as a fixed cost.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on insurance for dogs?
Oh,
Got to have it.
Must have.
Yeah.
Must have.
Probably brings me to a nice point of Harry the pug, maybe for
Are we going to go insurance luck for insurance luck here?
Yeah, I actually haven't written down all of Harry's costs, but I did ask Hannah. We think the total for Harry with no daycare, if we didn't have health insurance, would have been about $18,000 last year.
Yeah.
And that's 13,000 of that was surgeries.
Yeah.
So the list was insane. It was his surgeries was so he had 2 dentals. He had a grass seed in his foot that he had to be put under to get taken out. Harry started dragging his head as he was walking and looked like he was having a stroke or something
Ooh.
like that.
That's scary.
So they were like, you need to do an MRI. Turned out to be an inner ear infection. That MRI cost $6,000. Plus, when you add up
the time.
the time, all the vet visits. So we are sitting. Word on the street is we're sitting at number 3 of all patients for the Strand in Auckland in terms of most money spent over the past 12 months. And we got the MRI done somewhere else. So if we had the MRI done at the strand,
He'd be at the top of the list.
he'd be number one, which
He's a
I
winner.
mean, you want a
You want-
performer,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You want to be
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
at the top of the list.
He's
So
a winner. Yeah.
So my sister's dog, Dorothy, who is a French bulldog, and when I told my sister I wanted to get a French bulldog or an English bulldog, she had called me and then lectured me on why not to. I reckon it's had nose surgery, back surgery, ankle surgery. She's currently been pushed around in a pram because she's just had ankle surgery. She had back surgery. She jumped off the couch and hurt her back. Blew through the insurance cap 2 years in a row, and has got to be like, I would say close to £30,000 of insurance of surgeries.
Wow, £30,000 as well.
Yeah. She's an expensive wee pup.
That's crazy. Actually, James, you were the one that convinced me to get pet insurance.
Oh,
for
did I?
Shadow. Yeah.
Did you not have it before that?
Before I joined Lighthouse, I had an emergency fund and I thought that was sufficient. And then and then
a dog.
No, and then and then I got a dog. And then you talked about it, and then the thing that really triggered me getting insurance, and I literally called Southern Cross the second I heard it happen, was Ash, a financial advisor in our office. His dog blew 2 ACLs in the space of like a week or 2 weeks, and it cost like 15 grand. And I was like, that's my entire emergency fund in like a week. And so I called Southern Cross in the boardroom like half an hour later after that, and I signed up for insurance that very second. I remember
and our insurance for Harry is now very expensive because like they're having meetings, fortnightly to be like, we are losing so much money on this pug. This guy has gamed the system, and we're like, hike him up as much as you want. We're still gonna end up in like the green. It's like the fat kid at the buffet. You're gonna be running at a positive. So there's quite a bit in there, and then I've seen there's like an independent kind of numbers from the Informed Investor article, which talks about the annual cost for a dog being somewhere between 2 and a bit and like 3,700, which is probably more realistic, Ravi. And then for a kid, around 11,000,
which is probably more realistic, James.
Cool. So dogs are cheaper than kids. Is that what we're saying?
Which I'm not particularly surprised. I think it's a good piece to notice that there are some pretty chunky costs with dogs as well.
Yeah.
And with your financial plan, probably the big piece is whether it's dogs, whether it's kids, just making sure you're thinking about, well, what are the additional costs going to be, and making sure you're going to be able to service them. If you think about a kid in particular, having to deal with the sleepless nights, getting angry at your partner because they're sleeping while you're dealing with the kid, all that kind of stuff. You don't want to be dealing with, the financial stress on top of it. So make sure you plan, make sure you work out those costs so you can enjoy the time with your loved ones.
Yeah. And if you're trying to choose a dog, research the breed and research the conditions they can have, because those will bite you, I think. No pun intended.
And if you go near Ravi's house in the dark, you'll literally be bitten.
And if anyone wants a mic, I'm cheap as.
He is. I mean, that's a whole different episode.
Yeah. I'm not cheap.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Ravi, thank you for joining us.
Cheers.
Much love to Partners Life for sponsoring us. Please make sure to subscribe, review, and like, and we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.